Let's look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of Ohio real estate so that you can become a more informed buyer, seller, or investor when it comes to all things real estate. Hey guys, David Sadusky here. I'm a real estate agent and I've helped hundreds of people buy, sell, and invest here in Ohio. If that's something you're looking at doing, I would love the opportunity of a one-on-one conversation with you. All of my contact information is in the description below. Today we're going to be talking about first the good of Ohio, and then we're going to dive into the bad and the ugly, which I think is more important. So stay tuned to the end. The first good of Ohio is its affordability and cost of living. Now, this is something I really want to hone in on. Again, the affordability here, Ohio is consistently ranked as the most affordable state in the entire US. I mean, if you just take, for instance, our median home price, it's right around $230,000, whereas the national average home price is around $430,000. This makes it a whole lot easier for first-time home buyers to actually afford their home or investors to buy many, many more units. Not only that, but our cost of living here is consistently lower than what it would be in other states in the US. For instance, everyday expenses like groceries, transportation, even healthcare is lower than the rest of the US on average. The other good to talk about is Ohio's booming job market. Ohio really has a diverse and growing job market with opportunities in healthcare, for instance, where we have the Cleveland Clinic Hospital, one of the greatest hospitals in the entire world, obviously right here in Cleveland. We also have opportunities in manufacturing still, where the manufacturing industry is still incredibly strong, especially in cities like Toledo and Youngstown. Not only that, but we have opportunities in technology and startup companies. Really, Columbus is the spot for that, and it's emerging itself as a Midwest tech hub. And lastly, we have education and research happening throughout the entire state. We have schools like Ohio State University, Case Western Reserve, and the University of Cincinnati, all right here in Ohio. This brings a lot of job growth and population growth to the entire state. The third good to talk about with Ohio is the strong real estate market that we have here. You know, one of the things to touch on is the steady and consistent appreciation that all homeowners and investors like. You know, we don't have the crazy upswings in appreciation like maybe some coastal states have, like Florida, Texas, California, but we have steady and consistent appreciation, which me as a homeowner and investor, I much rather have steady, consistent versus high volatility. We also have strong rental demand here, especially when you look at around the major cities, you know, the suburbs around major cities. It's very strong rental demand, and we have a rent to price ratio that really I haven't found any other state to beat it. You know, obviously there's pockets in other places, but Ohio consistently has strong rent to price ratios, strong rental demand, and steady, consistent appreciation. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, and historical data is not an indicator of future events, so please do your own research. But when I'm looking at the data, these are some great metrics that I am looking at. The last good that I want to touch on is Ohio's nature. I know a lot of people think that Ohio is just gray, cloudy, and gross 100% of the time. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. For instance, we have Lake Erie. If you go closer up north in Ohio, Lake Erie is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you couldn't tell the difference between that and an ocean sometimes. It's massive and beautiful. And you can find some really cool lake properties if that's something that you're into. We also have all four seasons here, right? So if you're an Airbnb investor and you're looking at something cool like a ski lodge or a ski cabin, we have a lot of ski resorts and snowboarding resorts here in Ohio. We also have natural parks like Cuyahoga Natural Falls and Hocking Hills that offer a lot of entertainment on just an everyday weekend to go to. So I want to get this myth out of people's head that Ohio is gray, cloudy, and gross. Sure, the winters here can suck sometimes, but it's really only a couple months out of the year, and the rest of the time it is beautiful. So something to keep in mind. Now, I can make a whole 20, 30, 40 minute long video on the good of Ohio, but I'm sure what you are most interested in is the bad and the ugly. And honestly, I think that's the most important thing when you are looking to buy or relocate or invest in a state. You want to hear the bad and the ugly, and all states have them. So let's hop into that. So the first bad point that I want to touch on is some of Ohio's economic challenges that certain pockets here face. And I'm going to look at some data on my screen over here because I can't remember all these numbers in my head. But for instance, Ohio's GDP growth rate was only about 0.5% between 2021 and 2023, which isn't great. But despite this slower growth, Ohio has been recently attracting a lot of businesses, especially from out of state. So businesses are actually starting to move here due to this affordability that we have here. From California, New York, Illinois. Again, the affordability here is great, so they're moving certain businesses into Ohio, just like they're doing with Texas, and Texas has had a huge economic growth. The same thing is starting to slowly happen here in Ohio. Also, certain areas like Columbus and Cincinnati are not affected by this as much. They have grown rapidly. They're fueled by investments in tech, manufacturing, and healthcare. For instance, Columbus itself has created 3,000 jobs, are expected to create 3,000 jobs in the near future, which is going to add a lot of economic growth, specifically in Columbus. So you just want to be very aware of the certain pocket and city that you're investing in, because overall it might not look great, but certain cities are doing more than average growth in economic and population growth. And if you're looking to either relocate here from out of state or you're looking to invest here, it's something that you need to be aware of on the data end on the specific pocket or city that you're investing in Ohio. So the next bad to talk about is definitely Ohio's winters. I know this is on a lot of people's mind, and depending on how you look at it, it's either a good or it's a really bad and ugly part of Ohio. And again, I want you guys to be fully aware of this. It's not all of Ohio that gets hit nearly as hard. For instance, and I'll have it up on the screen, we have something called lake effect snow and the snow belt. This is where Ohio gets hit the hardest, right? So if you are not a fan of harsh winters, don't move here, right? If you're looking more to move up north, move on the west side of Cleveland and you won't get hit nearly as hard, or move down south to Columbus and Cincinnati. And again, the winters here aren't nearly as harsh. But if you do like the snow, which I don't know a ton of people that are in love with it, then you can find a house maybe on the east side in that snow belt, and you'll have all the snow that you could want during the winters. But again, it's just dependent on location in Ohio, and you want to be aware of what's actually going on, what actually causes the harsh winters. It's the lake effect snow, it's the snow belt. So avoid those areas, especially in the winter, and you'll be fine. The other bad and ugly part that you might want to be aware of is the crime rates here in Ohio. Now, I want to give a full scope, so don't leave the video quite yet. Certain areas do have higher crime rates in Ohio, like Dayton and Springfield may have a little bit higher crime rates than average, but overall Ohio has seen significant drops in crime rates. For instance, Columbus has dropped 41% in violent crime rates, 41% just in the first half of 2024. This made it the biggest drop in any US major city during that time period. So overall, Ohio is seeing a drawback significantly in crime rates, and it wasn't an issue in most cities, just a few pockets of Ohio, just like all states have. But you want to be aware, depending on where you're looking to either relocate, live in, or invest, something to be aware of, and find an agent who actually knows the data, actually knows what the crime rates are, what certain pockets see the most economic growth or decline or whatnot. And you want to find an agent that can give you all that information. It's just data, it's out there for everybody, so you can do your own research as well. So overall, every city, every state has its ups and downs, and it's up to you to decide which area is right for you. Again, I would love the opportunity of a one-on-one conversation, especially if you want to dive into a certain pocket of Ohio and really figure out the data alongside it. Again, if you're an out-of-state investor or relocating here, it's important to know the full scope of the Ohio market, and I would love to be that resource for you. If you guys found this video informational or insightful, please leave a comment below, like, subscribe. I do all things Ohio, and I would love the opportunity to work with you again. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.